Today, I would like to record a podcast from a very unique space. And that is one where I didn't try to surrender and I didn't try to let go. Instead, I was simply able to open into a vastness that I've rarely known. And as I opened, it was like everything that didn't belong drained away. I don't know that I've ever experienced that vast opening where what I experienced was an immense surrender and a release of everything that didn't belong in this moment. So I come from a place of surrender and letting go, even though I did neither of those. What I did was open to the vastness of heaven. And this all came about I woke up this morning and did my meditation, and instead of going to do my normal workout, I decided to just sit quietly and listen to something. I didn't know what. But what I was led to was an old YouTube video with Carl Jung, and in it he was talking about synchronicity, which I find fascinating. There have been so many moments in my life where I feel like I have made the most impossible wrong turn and I'm completely lost. And then a miracle, and I mean not just magic, I mean a miracle happens and completely alters my life, my trajectory in the most beautiful, amazing way. So Carl Jung is talking about synchronicity, and I'm just enjoying that. And I began to notice some things that happened in the last couple of days that literally show up in the video. I'm kind of taken aback. It's like, whoa, like I was literally doing that, looking at that. I wrote that, I thought that. And not his concepts, but anyway, it's hard to explain. But I began to notice moments of synchronicity that were repeating in the video I was watching. And as I continued to watch, I also thought about the I Ching, Yi Ching, Zhao Yi. It's called many things. Most people, I think, in the West know it as the I Ching, letter I, Ching. An old Chinese or Asian, it's probably older than China, form of divination, oracle, that type of thing. Does not tell you the future, it's simply a glimpse at the present moment, can offer you some guidance in areas that you may be stuck. I became interested in the I Ching, 3-ish years ago, maybe a little more, maybe 4. And it's just sort of popped in and out until this year when I actually took a course with Harper. And if you have any interest in this form of divination or oracular insight, I would definitely suggest Harper. He has, over many, many decades, learned as much as possible the roots of this form of insight. And in the course, I become familiar with the trigrams and the hexagrams. None of this you need to understand. What I'm getting to is, as I'm watching the video, suddenly Carl Jung is talking about the I Ching and his use of it. And I had forgotten that Carl Jung used that. And as he was talking about the different trigrams, so there's heaven and earth, there's fire and water, there's lake and wind, and thunder, and who have I forgotten? There's 8, so there's got to be another one. And it's skipping town right now. It'll come. Oh, mountain. Thunder and mountain. And as he's talking about these, he suddenly starts talking about gender and how everything in life, everything in the material world has gender, has a masculine or a feminine sort of signature. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then as I was sitting here thinking, my mind began to wander into, is that true? Is that true? And I thought, well, okay, let's look at the trigrams. That's an easy way. So if I look at heaven, heaven in the I Ching, but also in the material world, is quite masculine. Well, you'll get my point in a moment. It's considered masculine, the way the earth is considered feminine. And I looked at these two for a moment and I thought, well, in their physical representation, you could say that like the earth is like a receptive womb, but the womb also puts forth. So the earth is not just receptive, she doesn't just receive all that the heaven pours down, but she also gives back, which is also a masculine trait. And the way the heavens don't just pour forth, they also receive, they absorb from the earth as well. And same with fire and water. Fire is not always hot. There is a cold fire. And water is not always soft and flowing. There is hard water. We sometimes call that ice. Same with thunder. Thunder is not always a big, loud boom. Thunder can also be silent. So as I began to think about this, my mind went to this whole topic of gender. I watched a Netflix documentary last night. I decided to curl up because I've had kind of an evening and a slow morning of just curling into myself, is how I call it. So last night I curled up with a Netflix video. I'd never heard of it, and it was Will and Harley, or maybe it was Harley and Will, but it was about Will Farrell and his lifelong friend Harley Steele. And I guess in the last few years, Harley Steele has come out as a transgender woman. And it was really a fascinating documentary. I enjoyed it very much. So as I was sitting here thinking about gender, and I closed my eyes and I started, I would say I call it praying, but you may call it speaking. I just start speaking, and I start speaking because when I start speaking to whatever is out there, I begin to move past my language, and soon other words and a different language arises, and it's like I'm speaking, I'm allowing them to speak, whoever they are out there, and I allow the universe to speak through me, to me. And as I was speaking, the words came, yes, the physical manifestation is gendered, meaning it has all physical manifestation has a masculine or feminine quality. But the energy before the manifestation does not have a gender. Meaning the energy of the earth is not, I don't know how to, so let me try. I don't know, I want to stop, but because I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to say what I experienced. So I'm going to try to describe the experience. It was though as I suddenly went, my consciousness went to a deeper level than it normally resides. And in that level, it was energy, and I could feel the energy of fire. And I understood the energy of fire has no gender. And yet when it expresses itself, it has a gender. The energy of water has no gender. And yet when it expresses itself, it has a gender. Same with earth and heaven, thunder, lake, mountain. Why is this interesting to me? In that moment, I suddenly thought of the movie last night, and I thought, oh, Harley Steele, the energy of this consciousness has no gender. And yet it came forth in a masculine presentation. And yet now this energy called Harley Steele is wanting to have a feminine presentation. But I believe below either presentation is the energy of Steele, which has no gender. And I say this because in my life, when I was younger, I don't even want to try to get the words right. I was born female, and I've always been female, and I've always wanted to be female. I've never wanted to change the gender of my body. But I spent most of my life feeling like I was a man inside. I thought inside I was like, I feel like I'm a man inside a woman's body. But I didn't want a man's body. I wanted my woman's body. I've always wanted to be a woman. But the inside has always been so masculine. And that was an interesting experience for me to go through life, feeling a bit like a man, but presenting as a woman and wanting to be a woman. As I've gotten older, that inside has softened, and I do feel more and more feminine, and I still want to be in a feminine body, but I would say that probably has to do with aging. As men age, they get a little more feminine, and as women age, they get a little more masculine, which I think we're moving probably closer to our true form, which is what I'm saying here energetically, which is without gender. And so it's interesting to me that we have so many gender sort of conflicts right now, because if we step back, everything in the universe before it expresses itself is without gender. It's a genderless universe, so to speak. The energy is genderless, and then when the form takes place, it has the manifestation of one of masculine or feminine. And not 100%, I don't want to try to get into some scientific theory right now, but energy, the experience I've had this morning is that energy is genderless. And that through whatever happens to create that magical manifestation in the quantum realm, that's when it has an expression that has a gender, so to speak, masculine or feminine. I don't really know why this is so interesting to me. Other than just maybe what I'm experiencing and moving toward in my life is a deeper union of the masculine and feminine, which does not become a slurry soup. They are masculine and feminine. I am masculine and feminine. But the union of their wholeness begins to be a little bit genderless. And the balance of masculine and feminine is balance. It is a representation of them both simultaneously at times. I would say probably simultaneously all the time. That would be true balance. To be able to express the wholeness of masculinity and femininity in such a way that it's almost genderless. It's like the words love. Love doesn't have a gender. Love is genderless. We all love. We all are love. Compassion. I don't think compassion has a gender. The energy of compassion is genderless. Masculine and feminine. The two together are compassion. Joy. I don't believe joy has a gender. Joy is without gender. It is both masculine and feminine. There are forms of joy that are very masculine, forms of joy that are very feminine. But at their heart, joy is without gender. Some of these grief, sorrow, I don't believe they have a gender. It's interesting because it's drawing me now. I hadn't thought of this, but I'm being led to my book, the book I'm writing, where I needed to give, in order to write the story, I needed to give the 8 temptations, which were original, came before the 7 deadly sins. The 8 temptations, I needed to give them a gender in order to write about them. And I'm realizing that's just one physical manifestation of that. Sorrow in my book is female, but sorrow is not really. Sorrow does not have a gender. Sorrow is masculine and feminine. Sorrow is beyond gender. I guess in this world right now, there's so much strife and animosity and fear and anger and just all the things around gender, and maybe just pausing for a moment and realizing love has no gender, joy has no gender, sorrow has no gender, hate has no gender. There's so many energies in this universe that before they are manifested, they have no gender, and we are energy. So as love comes into me, and then I become the physical manifestation of love, I express it often in feminine ways, right? But love is not feminine. When that same energy of love enters a man's body or a masculine body, then they bring that energy of love into a masculine form. But love is not masculine. Love is not feminine. Love is without gender. It's how we choose to express it that gives it a gender. Don't think we need to get so caught up in the expression of love and joy, of compassion, of each other. So this conversation certainly did not go where I thought. I thought it was going to be sort of a mystical conversation of Carl Jung. Did not go that way at all. But I like it. I like where it went because it's been on my mind and in my heart a lot, and I've been very sad about it, very, very sad around it, because I would say I haven't understood it either. I haven't understood. One, I don't always understand. I don't understand the desire to change the gender of a body. I do understand the desire to change a body. I certainly have, struggled at times with my own body and the way it looks and does it fit into society, blah, blah, blah. I have struggled to feel at home in my own body. Absolutely. And so in some ways I can understand to some extent, but not the full extent. But I haven't felt the need to understand it. I've accepted it, but I also haven't understood why there's so much resistance to allowing others to manifest energy in the way they choose. When love comes into me, I'd like to be able to manifest it in the form that I choose. And when love comes into you, I would like to give you the space to manifest it as you choose. On the spectrum of masculine and feminine as you see fit. I think if we can step away from what we, quote, know is true, end quote, and maybe, as I did, open up to a vastness that's so big that everything else falls away. And in that vastness, there may be some hidden wisdom for you. And I would absolutely bet that the hidden wisdom for you isn't going to look and sound like mine, but it will be perfectly for you. And at the end of every breath, I hope we're all able to truly surrender and let go. so that we might receive the vastness of the next inhale. Receive the vastness of the moment, time, and space. Receive the vastness of the wisdom that is held within this beautiful matrix of energy. And I hope that the union of the masculine and feminine within you begins to be healed, begins to be healed, begins to be healed. So much love to you all. I hope you have a beautiful day.